stand ready to welcome all our Jamaicans, and we want our diaspora to continue to support and participate in Jamaica.
The diaspora, as Prime Minister Andrew Holness rightly says, is an important part of our country's growth strategy. That is why the Economic Growth Council is intent on utilizing their wealth of human capital, expertise and economic strength to make Jamaica the place of choice to live, work, raise families and do business. Your favorite magazine program starts right now.
But there, man, this is a nice place you have here, man. Swimming pool, tennis court, gym. This must cost you a fortune.
Fortune? No, man. This is what they call a strata. Everybody owns a piece, and we are sharing the ownership of the common area.
Strata? Explain to me how that works.
A strata is an ownership arrangement where each owner owns the inside of his or her own space. Everything else is shared, which include the roof, the pool, the tennis court, the walkways, even the parking areas. But there's usually a maintenance fee for all of that though.
For more information on strata living, contact the Commission of Strata Corporations.
Good day, I'm Carrie-Ann Smith, and this is your JIS News from Monday, February 12. Jamaica and the Gangshu provincial government in China have signed a framework agreement for the development of a $6 billion industrial park and special economic zone at Nain in St. Elizabeth. The agreement was signed on Thursday at Jamaica House and followed a courtesy call with Prime Minister Andrew Holness. To expedite the implementation, Mr. Holness has appointed Minister without Portfolio in the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, Dr. Horace Chang, to oversee the project. The proposed industrial park and special economic zone will be in close proximity to the Gisco All-Power plant. It is intended to move Jamaica from exporting raw materials to developing value-added manufacturing and fabrication industries led by the bauxite mineral sector. The first phase of the project, to include the political, administrative and procedural preliminary activities, will begin immediately. Following which, the next phase will be announced when the Jamaican government sends participants to the premier construction conference scheduled for Gangshu in September. Government is improving the health sector through increased public-private partnerships to assist in the delivery of quality, affordable services. Speaking at the opening of the Partners Interventional Center of Jamaica, PICJ Limited, on Friday, Health Minister Dr. Tufton says there is an increasing need for private services and entrepreneurial activity in healthcare.
We are now in a process at the ministry of examining a number of models, public-private partnership models, because we believe that in the years to come, more of that will have to be, it has to be more the norm than the exception.
PICJ is a privately owned medical unit dedicated to the diagnosis and the treatment of cardiovascular disease, located at Medical Associates Hospital in St. Andrew. The health minister lauded the PICJ team for its commitment to delivering vital services in the treatment of cardiovascular disease.
The reality is that we have a void in cardiovascular care, and that void has to be filled. And the government is not going to be able to deal with the gaps that exist.
The House of Representatives has passed amendments to the Trafficking in Persons Act to enable a judge to try trafficking offences without a jury. The amendments were made recently following reports from the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions, DPP, that a number of irregularities were discovered with trials for trafficking in persons offences. Justice Minister Delroy Chuck piloted the Trafficking in Persons Prevention, Suppression and Punishment Amendment Act 2018 through the House. He said the office of the DPP has indicated that irregularities have been seen in the prosecution of complex cases involving criminal networks, gangs, and trafficking cases that expose jurors and witnesses to a high risk of intimidation and influence. In addition, a section of the bill was amended to empower a judge to order that restitution awarded may be enforced by the victim or by the prosecution on the victim's behalf, similar to a judgment in a civil matter. The amended act further makes provision to empower the minister to make regulations to better carry out the restitution orders. The House also amended the Child Care and Protection Act to allow for an increase in the penalty from 10 years to 20 years for the sale or trafficking of children. The Trafficking in Persons Act was enacted in 2007 to prescribe measures to prevent and combat trafficking in persons. The government has launched a $5.9 million incentive program aimed at increasing secondary school attendance by students benefiting under the Program of Advancement through Health and Education Path. Dubbed School Days Count, the two-year initiative will roll out between February and April 2018 in 34 institutions that have below 70% attendance levels. It will offer a range of cash and non-cash incentives to parents and schools to boost student turnout. Speaking at the launch last week in Port Maria, St. Mary, Minister of Labour and Social Security Shahini Robinson informed that $4 million will be spent during the first year of the program and another $1.9 million in the second year.
10 scholarships will be awarded, each valued at $250,000, payable over 3 years to grade 11 students continuing their education at the tertiary level in September 2018, based on school attendance and performance criteria.
The Labour and Social Security Minister said the program should cause a dramatic shift in attitudes so that PATH beneficiaries and other students will be motivated to attend school 100% of the time. The initiative will also consist of a public education campaign.
School attendance fairs to be conducted in 8 parishes and parent consultations which will be conducted island-wide. The campaign will also develop and distribute educational materials to assist students and parents to more readily recognize the correlation between regular school attendance and positive educational outcomes.
The Incentives and Awareness Program comes against a recent quantitative survey showing that as much as 72% of non-compliant PATH students are often absent from school on Fridays, and up to 53% of non-compliant beneficiaries stop attending school prior to the end of the school term. Jamaicans at home and abroad are being urged to submit nominations for the Prime Minister's Jamaica 55 Commemorative Medal of Appreciation. The deadline for submissions is February 16. Speaking at Wednesday's JIS think tank session, Portfolio Minister Olivia Grange said recipients of a national honor or award are not eligible.
The award is to be made for significant contribution to the economy, social, cultural, or political development of Jamaica, or to Jamaicans residing abroad who have made outstanding contributions to Jamaica or have flown the Jamaican flag high overseas that has helped to enhance Jamaica as a brand.
Nomination forms, which are available at opm.gov.jm or jis.gov.jm, may be submitted to the Chancery of the Order of the Societies of Honor, Office of the Prime Minister, 1 Devon Road, Kingston 10. The awards ceremony, which will be hosted by the Prime Minister, will be held on March 29 at Jamaica House. The Commemorative Medal of Appreciation Awards is part of the year-long celebration of Jamaica's 55th anniversary of independence. The awards were first introduced on the occasion of the 21st anniversary of Jamaica's independence and are given every 5 years. And finally, the Transport Authority has begun accepting applications for all categories of public passenger vehicles and commercial carriers licenses. The new licensing period started today. The application period allows for the timely submission of road license applications ahead of the March 31 expiration date. Persons may contact the authority at 1-888-991-5687, customer care at 618-0959, or visit ta.org.jm for further information. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Carrie Ann Smith. Thank you for watching.
Prime Minister Andrew Holness holds talks with the United States Secretary of State Rex Tillerson, tables the CARICOM Review Commission report, and congratulates the 2018 Spelling Bee champion. Get the details in Jamaica House Weekly next.
Secretary Tillerson and I have engaged in critical discussions on issues of mutual interest to Jamaica and the United States, as well as the region.
Interest to Jamaica and the United States as well as the region. And
we intend to pursue further review, revitalization, renewal, and restoration of CARICOM to increase its relevance and effectiveness.
You're watching Jamaica House Weekly. I'm Lorraine Mendez. Last week, Prime Minister Andrew Holness hosted United States Secretary of State Rex Tillerson for an historic 3-hour visit. Jamaica was Tillerson's last stop on a week-long visit to Latin America and the Caribbean. Boosting U.S.-Jamaica economic partnership, broadening U.S. CARICOM engagement, and climate change were among the issues discussed during bilateral talks Wednesday.
We have greatly valued America's efforts to disrupt transnational crime through continued support to effectively secure Jamaica's maritime space. We agreed to deepen our cooperation in this regard, acknowledging also that the sharing and exchange of intelligence is critical to the safety and security of our two countries and the wider region.
De-risking and correspondent banking issues, as well as the current political and economic situation in Venezuela, were also discussed. On the matter of energy security, Mr. Holness said Jamaica was exploring deepening its partnership with the United States in a bid to diversify its energy sector.
With the new dynamics in the global trade in energy, and with the United States now becoming a net exporter of energy resources, Jamaica can, in this new paradigm, benefit from that.
And following Wednesday's bilateral talks, Prime Minister Holness said Jamaica stood ready to welcome its citizens living abroad. He gave the assurance while fielding questions from the press. The Prime Minister was asked what Jamaica's position would be if the United States, which has the island's largest diaspora population, were to halt or reverse immigration.
Jamaica is the homeland for Jamaicans, and we would want to have their skills and their resources here. And we support them as well in their dreams to settle and work in other countries, and we encourage them to abide by the laws and institutions of that country.
The day before, Mr. Holness was in Parliament, where he tabled a copy of the CARICOM Review Commission report. Parliament is expected to debate the 33 recommendations made by the Commission the Prime Minister set up in 2016 to review Jamaica's relations with CARICOM and CARIFORUM. Mr. Holness told the House that the report will also be shared with CARICOM heads of government and the CARICOM Secretariat when Jamaica chairs the regional body in July 2018.
I am confident that in completing our collective review of the report, we will be able to make the right decisions and take the necessary actions to ensure the advancement of the region through CARICOM and continued cooperation with CARIFORUM states within the framework of the ACP group of states.
The Commission was established on June 20, 2016 under the chairmanship of former Prime Minister Bruce Golding. Its report was presented to Prime Minister Holness on March 30 last year and has since been discussed by the International Relations and Trade Committee of Cabinet. Prime Minister Andrew Holness has assigned Minister Horace Jang to oversee the development of a $6 billion industrial park and special economic zone in Nain, St. Elizabeth. The Prime Minister gave the directive following Thursday's signing of a framework agreement between the government and China's Gansu provincial government. The proposed industrial park and special economic zone is to be built alongside the GISCO all-part operations. It's intended to move the island from exporting raw materials to developing value-added manufacturing and fabrication industries led by the bauxite mineral sector. Jamaica and China have both agreed that the political, administrative and procedural preliminary activities will begin immediately in order to be able to announce the next phase when the parties meet in China at Gansu's Premier Construction Conference in September. On a Friday, Prime Minister Andrew Holness was on hand to honor more than 500 public sector workers who've served the island for 25 years and more. Back at Jamaica House, Mr. Holness hosted participants of the 2018 RGR Gleaner Spelling Bee. He used Thursday's courtesy call to commend Glenmuir High's Nathaniel Stone for winning top honors at this year's Spelling Bee Championships. And that's it for Jamaica House Weekly. We return next time with more of the news coming out of the office of the Prime Minister.
Oh God, I really wish I could retire right now. It's high time I start my own business.
Well, honey, don't you think you should apply to the early retirement program? Look how long we are talking about that.
You know, you're right.
The SERP is for eligible government employees between 50 and 59 years old. Speak with your HR department or see the press for details. Deadline is February 16. Apply now.
We truly believe that Reggae Month is a national treasure. We believe that Reggae Month is something so special that people from all around the world will fly to Jamaica in February, all around the island, for Reggae Month activities, like a pilgrimage, like Mecca, because this is the home of reggae.
This brainchild of the Jamaica Reggae Industry Association, more rhythmically called JARIA, celebrates its 11th staging this year.
Our theme for Reggae Month 2018 is Peace, Love, Reggae. And this is important. With everything that's going on in the world today, with everything that's going on in Jamaica today, reggae can be the healing of the nation, reggae can be the healing of the world.
Some of the activities during the month are free to the public, even though it will be costly to stage the events, which are mostly held at private venues, predominantly in the corporate area. So the Tourism Ministry, realizing the global pull factor of the event, is back on board as a sponsor, with $15 million to the Tourism Enhancement Fund, the TEF.
The synergy between tourism and reggae doesn't need any explanation. As an international brand, reggae is louder than any beach, than any waterfall, than any river, than any mountain that we have here in Jamaica. So here it is that we have an industry that relies on telling people overseas about us.
I want to highlight a few important activities that are happening during Reggae Month. One of which is the hosting by the Ministry of Culture, Gender, Entertainment and Sport and the Mayor's Office, the Kingston and St. Andrew Corporation, of the UNESCO Creative Cities Kingston. Here in Kingston, we're hosting all the music cities from February 14 to 19. So all the music cities as part of the UNESCO network will be here in Kingston celebrating the 6 genres of music that have made Kingston famous. I want to also highlight the Bob Marley lecture that will be happening on February 16. I want to talk about the Valentine edition that is a collaboration between JARIA and the Gregory Isaacs Foundation. So that's Red Rose for Gregory on the 14th of February. The Icons of Reggae concert being sponsored jointly by JARIA, the Industry Association, the Ministry of Tourism, and the Ministry of Culture, Gender, Entertainment and Sport on the 18th of February in downtown Kingston. And that concert will feature Dennis Brown as an icon of reggae. One of the things that as government, we always are saddened by is the passing of our musicians and our talent in the entertainment industry. Between September 1, 2016 and September 1, 2017, 18 musicians and entertainers died. The ministry, along with the Ministry of Labor and Social Security, as well as with the Administrator General's Department, will be hosting a series on estate planning, wills and trusts, and so on. And finally, the minister will host an industry reception on the night of the 28th.
And Reggae Month popular staples return.
Through events such as Trenchtown Festival, Reggae Wednesdays, the Bob Marley Annual Lecture, Sound System Explosion, and the Groundation Series, which this year focuses on Marcus Garvey's Freedom Sounds, the message of peace, sustainable earth practices, and their connection to reggae music are echoed. Given the global environment of unrest and wars across the globe, the social impact of music and entertainment should not be overlooked.
If those activities are still not to your fancy, Reggae Month holds more. Dub poetry sessions, a public speaking competition, lectures, a reggae pasta party, and the Jaria Honor Awards.
This is about keeping the music and preserving the legacy. Hip hip. Hip hip. Hip hip. Give thanks.
On March 5, residents of the St. Andrew Northwestern constituency and the Norman Gardens division will go to the polls to select their representative. Nominations were accepted today. If you live in these communities, here's what you need to know about the voting process. Who are you voting for this election? Well, that's your secret. But knowing how to make sure your vote counts on election day is no private matter. But first you must know where to cast your vote and how to do it. Voting? Easy. But you must follow the correct steps to ensure a smooth electoral process and a valid vote. So guess what? Stay with us as we take you through the voting process.
Before Election Day, you will need to confirm that you are actually registered and therefore eligible to vote. You will also need to find out your polling division and the location of your polling station. Remember, you can only vote in the polling station that is designated for you. You can do this in 3 ways: by checking the printout of the voters list at your constituency office or post office, visiting the Electoral Office of Jamaica's website at www.ecj.com.jm, or by calling the EOJ toll-free at 1-888-991-VOTE. That's 1-888-991-8683. After confirming your registration, it's time to get ready to vote. Have your voter identification card at hand. You will need it on Election Day. If you have not yet collected it, please do so at your constituency office.
So it's Election Day. You know exactly where to cast your vote and you have your voter's identification card with you. Go to your designated polling station and join the line like I have done and wait until it's your turn at the voting booth.
It is often said that the early bird catches the most worms, but sometimes being not so early works in your favor. Most Jamaicans vote during the first 2 hours of polling and the last hour before the polls close, resulting in long lines. So if you want to avoid the wait, it's a good idea to vote during the off-peak hours between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m.
So now it's your turn to cast your vote. Wait for the presiding officer to acknowledge you.
Next person, please. Good day, sir.
Good day.
May I please have your name and your voter's ID?
Adrian Atkinson.
Thank you very much.
Forgot to bring your voter's ID card? You will still be allowed to vote once your name can be found on the voters list and your identity can be confirmed. However, the process to confirm you is quite lengthy, so to avoid delays, remember to bring your card on election day. Once your identity has been confirmed and your name has been found on the list, the presiding officer will then examine your fingers and hands for any traces of electoral ink using the integrity lamp. If your polling station is using EVBIS, that is the Electronic Voter Identification and Ballot Issuing System, you will be asked to place a specific finger on a fingerprint scanner. This scanner uses your fingerprint to confirm your identity.
May I check your fingerprints, please?
Once your identity has been verified, you'll be issued a ballot. Listen carefully to the instructions given because if you don't record your vote correctly, it may not be counted.
Mr. Atkinson, you are eligible to vote.
Thank you.
This is your ballot paper with the names of two candidates, Matthew Marks and Lou Johns. Please go behind the voting booth and place your X beside the symbol for the candidate of your choice using the pencil provided. I am folding your ballot paper twice. Please return it to me folded in the same manner to protect the secrecy of your vote.
Once you have been issued your ballot, it's time to vote. Go behind the voting booth and using the pencil provided, clearly mark an X in the space beside the symbol of the candidate of your choice. Refold the ballot twice as instructed by the presiding officer, leaving the flap out to protect the secrecy of your vote. Do not show your vote to anyone. Otherwise, your ballot will be declared spoilt and you will have to vote again.
Thank you, Mr. Atkinson. Check, serial number return. Mr. Atkinson, please dip your right index finger in the ink. This way.
Be sure to watch while your unopened ballot is placed in the ballot box.
Once you have witnessed your ballot being placed into the ballot box, the voting process is complete. You should now leave the polling station in a peaceful manner.
Next person, please.
Congratulations, you've just voted. But here are a few more things to keep in mind on election day.
You can only vote if your name is on the voters list. If you make a mistake, you may request another ballot from the presiding officer. Your original ballot will be spoilt and you will be issued a new one. The use of cellular telephones or image capturing devices is strictly prohibited inside the polling stations. You may not remove ballot papers from the polling station. Your ballot is secret. It should not be shown to anyone. For further information on the voting process, visit the ECJ's website at www.ecj.com.jm or call toll-free at 1-888-991-VOTE. That's 1-888-991-8683.
Your vote is your voice. Make it count. And that's where we leave you, but only for today. We return tomorrow around about the same time right here on this station. We're also available online 24/7, 365. Visit jis.gov.jm or our social media sites on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. On behalf of the entire news and production team here at the GIS, I'm Adrian Atkinson. Thanks for watching.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.